NAFTA was the worst trade deal we ever had. USMCA did one thing that I loved. After 6 years, it comes up for renewal. I don't know that I'm going to renew it because, to be honest with you, the United States does much better. Hey, we don't need anything that Canada has. We don't need anything that Mexico has, but they need everything that we have. And they have to treat us better. We don't need their cars. We don't need their lumber. We don't need their energy. We don't need anything.
To be blunt, this sequel to The Art of the Deal is pretty lame. For the main deal maker from the United States to say he's not even interested in a deal or having the conversations is a fairly significant departure. And let's just then continue trading the way that we were before, the way that was driving down prices for Americans and Canadians. Let's get on with it.
All right, so that starts with Donald Trump, of course, playing the old we don't need anything from Canada, especially your badges. And then, of course, David Eby, who's the Premier of BC, reacting to that. So Scott Reid, CTV political analyst, former advisor to Prime Minister Paul Martin, is on the line. Our feature, as always, brought to you by Guaranteed Industries, reminding you, great time now as summer starts to heat up to get your brand new air conditioning system from Guaranteed and Can Air, and ask about hydro rebates as well. Online, guaranteedindustries.com, or you can call 514-342-3400, serving Montrealers since 1957. I don't know about you, Scott, but look, reacting to what Donald Trump says is always risky because he said one thing today, he will say another thing tomorrow. What do you make of what you heard today?
Yeah, this is just typical Trump trash talk, right? Like, it's, I'm completely in control. I don't need anything from them. They should roll over the negotiating table. So it's just this transparent sort of shtick. And if it had happened, I do think there's something super interesting about this, and that is a year ago, this story would have been like a comet hitting the moon, right? We would have all gone nuts. But the whole world is tired of the shtick. And so we know what he's doing. Everyone knows what he's doing. It doesn't affect anything. What he says isn't true. They obviously need our energy. They obviously need lots of things from Canada. And the reality of it all is last week, he dropped tariffs on steel and aluminum. He is obviously politically in a desperate position, and he can't continue to launch a trade war against the entire world, including Canada and Mexico. So this is just like hot air, man. This is the definition of hot air. And it doesn't improve his negotiating position. It doesn't affect the thing that's happening at the table. And I'm really a fan of the idea of like we just blink and nod and we just carry on and we don't get exercised about it because his position is deteriorating and ours is strengthening.
By the way, did you happen to catch the part about him? I cut that part out because it was too long a clip where he said he thought, when they were negotiating, right? First, he called NAFTA the worst agreement ever signed. And then he said they assumed that he would not be president for a second term. And that's why they concocted some of the deals that were in here. I'm like, wow, read much into this or what?
I know it's all about, it's like penis envy nonstop with this guy, right? Like, it's always like this weird psychological insecurity thing, and what are you talking about? He says NAFTA was the worst deal ever negotiated. He improved it, but then they thought that he would never come back to destroy it. But now he's here. It's like Jaws 4. I'm back and I'm bigger than ever with a worse bite. Like, it's just ridiculous.
All right, let me move from the U.S. to what we have going on here today. Starting with Quebec, we had a brand new poll out. Which basically shows, not a huge change, but not a good change as far as the Liberals are concerned. The PQ have gained some strength. The CAQ, amazingly enough, have gained some strength as well. I think that's probably still Christine Frechette rubbing off on those poll numbers. But what we are seeing here that's concerning is the fact that Charles Milliard, the Liberals, are not able to break through. They actually lost ground here. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, the reality is that when you got a jump ball in politics, sometimes it scrambles where everybody's supposed to be on the court. But after a bit of play, people kind of go back to their positions. So to me, it means kind of the general laws of political reality are reasserting themselves. But I think there are a couple of interesting things about this poll. One is, as you say, the weakness of the Liberals, particularly among traditional constituencies, like if they have to be getting 75% of the non-Francophone vote, right? And they have to be penetrating off the island in order to have a chance at success. There's no evidence of that. So they're rallying in the polls, but breakthrough potential isn't there. The second thing that I think is interesting is that we see this referendum thing is still hanging around the PQ. And so all of it suggests to me that we could have an interesting election. Like, we could have a really interesting election. And that should scare the PQ a bit, right? Because this thing ought to be kind of in the bag. And they might look at this poll and go, well, it's moving back to where we want it to be. But Frechette is an X factor, and she could either be a skyrocket in the election. She could be a spoiler in the election. You could end up with a minority. Like, it's turning into a super interesting election outcome.
You know, it's funny as you say that, and I started the show today, obviously talking about the poll, but then there's a news story today. Quebec's Auditor General, Scott, I don't know if you heard this, came out and said, hey, your provincial government, a lot of the money they invested into, EVs and batteries, turns out they didn't really have much of a clue. And basically, she said, $700 million was basically poured down the drain of companies that have either failed or are now under credit protection. And this is blamed on this government. And I think to myself, this is not the first financial scandal we have had, right? Other than the biggest, deficit in provincial history. People seem to be seeing through that right now and not even considering this. And I wonder if a number like that's a lot of money, if a number like that even sticks.
It's such an interesting question because this is an issue that this same analysis is going to hit the government of Ontario and the federal government. Like, the same criticism is going to come home to roost, right? They all made big bets, not based on rigorous analysis, but on a hope that this would be the future of the auto sector and we would get in first, and sure, we'd have to put a bunch of cash on the barrelhead, but it would pay off. Doesn't look like it's starting to pay off. And I think in the Quebec context, it's particularly tough for CAQ because they can't separate themselves from those decisions. Frechette can separate herself from the go in a bunch of ways. Appearance, character, tone, all that kind of stuff. But she was there for those decisions. Yeah. So, like, if I was the PQ or the Liberals, I'd really hammer. Like, if I was the Liberals, I'd go after this hard to try to turn that 21% that they're polling at into 13. Like, just pound away at them and go, how many times do these guys have to be told that they screwed you, that they aren't actually capable economic managers, that it was all a wing and a prayer? I would pound away on that, and that would start to corrode their foundation. So I would be most worried if I was the CAQ, obviously.
Yeah, we heard that today, by the way, to be fair, from Andre Fortin, the Liberal House leader now. He was going after them. So, yeah, that's a good thing. I think that's something to consider. I will point out, by the way, for people who don't remember, Christine Frechette was, at one point, Minister of the Economy, Innovation, and Energy in 2024. Just kind of point that out. So,
right in the middle of this stuff.
Yeah.
The only thing I will say is you may be right from a cynical standpoint in that a bunch of people sort of shrug their shoulders and go, well, isn't this kind of like the junk bets that all governments take? So, like, in a weird way, cynicism might be their best friend in that people don't actually uniquely blame them.
Yeah, I guess. Fair. So we'll see. We'll see where this goes and how long it does stick, if it sticks. Look, Scott, I would be remiss if I did not get to, the biggest story of the day. You know what that is, right?
We've already touched on Donald Trump.
Justin Trudeau and Katy Perry. Come on, Scott.
Oh, my. Oh, yes. The red carpet.
That's right. We spent a good part of the show, which I was not even going to do because I saw this, but I've never seen phones and text kind of go as crazy as they did today on the question of whether Justin Trudeau putting his hand on Katy Perry's butt was the worst thing that has happened to Canada, I think, since Justin Trudeau became Prime Minister. So I need you to weigh in on this. Do you have an issue with this? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah, man. I saw it. I have eyes and I have Instagram, so I'm fully locked in on this issue. I will tell you this. If there's any debate, he was rubbing that thing as so hard, like I thought a genie in 3 wishes would appear, okay? Like, it was all in. And I don't know why people are outraged by this. Like, I'm kind of like, hey, dude is over 50. He has one of the hottest women in the world. I know they look like glib celebrities, but, you know, I'll just say this. If he did get those 3 wishes, I think each one of them would be more bum, more bum, more bum. That's what I read out of that.
And we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much, Scott. I didn't get that part. I just saw the hand there. I didn't know there was all this other stuff. I must have seen a different video.
The newest tracks. Let's go. New music. And the next big thing.
Always on the new music first.
Your first place to hear it all.
'Cause you gon' like it, love it, wanna play it twice. Playing now.
iHeart New Music. Your digital station for brand new drops, fresh finds, and tomorrow's bangers. Powered by North by Northeast Music Festival. Taking place June 10th to 14th across Toronto. iHeart New Music. Stream now, online, on your smart speaker, and preset on the free iHeartRadio app.